Hello, homeschool friends, and welcome to this episode of the Homeschool High School Podcast from sevensistershomeschool.com and brought to you by the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. I'm Sabrina, and I've got two of my sisters here today.
Yay, Vicky
Hello.
and
Yay.
yay.
And maybe a couple of seeing eye puppies in the background. You never know.
You never know.
You
Yeah.
never know. Yep.
Actually, I said I'm here with two of my sisters. I'm kind of here with like 1 3/4 of my sisters because Vicky has been recovering from flu and she may not be feeling 100% human today.
That was brilliant.
So it's a math
Recorders,
day.
right?
It's a math day because you're talking percentages, and it happens that we're recording on Pi Day, and I'm wearing my Pi Day shirt.
That's right.
So-
That's right. It's 3/14. It's Pi Day.
Ah,
Oh, man. Yeah. So we've
So-
had a lot of this over the years, right? Getting
Yeah.
sick, trying to recover, and trying to homeschool. So
Yes.
let's talk about
Yeah.
that because that probably is a universal experience for our 7 siblings all over the place. Sometimes homeschool is running with everybody at 102%. And other times it's running with a bunch of them at full speed and one not so much. And when that one is the parent,
Mhm.
it can be a little difficult. So we're going to talk about some strategies for sustaining your homeschool without killing yourself. Because
Yes,
it's
'cause it's real.
important. Yep, it's real, and it is important not to get your priorities so fixated on having to sustain and maintain and do all the things like you normally do them, but doing it at the to the detriment of your own health, and the dynamic in your family is affected when a parent is sick too. So we're going to try to touch on all that stuff and help you make wise choices for self-care and homeschool care going forward.
you bet.
So, yeah.
So you want to know one thing that I will forever work on, but it is right there in the health curriculum, is that when you're a wise person, you listen to your body and your soul. What
Mhm.
is it telling you? And my rules for the universe is mom's not ever allowed to feel bad.
Yeah.
And I have lots of hats to wear, and I do not have time to feel bad. And I was thinking, if I still had teenagers at home, which they have all graduated, but if I did, it would be wise for me to listen to my body and role model for my teens.
Mhm.
That when my body it was sick, it had the flu, and it needed to do some resting. And that's so, if we think about it, moms, you can listen to your body. And when you rest a little bit when you're sick,
Mhm.
it's role modeling for your kids. So it
Yes.
counts as school.
Yes,
Yay.
that's right. That's right.
Yay.
That's right.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, we talk all the time about the significance of life skills and character development.
Mhm.
And appropriate role modeling for stuff like that, that's both. That's both. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because we live in a world that is not interested in giving people sick days anymore.
Mm-mm.
And I think that is something, I hope that is something that is going to shift with this next generation, and that we're going to have adults who begin raising their families, the ones who are now in their late 20s and 30s, and they're going to be raising kids and realizing this is ridiculous. You can't have a society that just tells everyone you're never allowed to be sick.
Mhm.
And it's not sensible to say, well, because some people abuse the privilege of sick days at work, we're just not going to let anybody have any. Like, that's just crazy. Bodies get sick sometimes and we get tired. So yeah, we could also be like philosophers, shape the world, only they do it like about 100 years before most of it comes to fruition, right?
Yeah.
We could be helping to shape a generation's workforce when it comes to sick days by modeling and helping our kids learn. So
Trina, you just turned us into role models and culture shapers.
yes.
Yay!
Homeschooling for the win.
Yay.
Okay, so the first key, I think, is to listen to your body. Vicky's got that right. Second key is to communicate with your kids.
Mm.
So let's talk about that. How do we communicate with our kids without whining and without setting ourselves up for them to take advantage. Yeah, how do we hit that sweet
So,
spot?
well, first, because I'm easily distracted, I heard puppy dogs playing, and part of being a seventh sister is raising seeing eye dogs for
Right.
Kim, and that we love the puppy dog sounds. So
It,
Mhm.
it is part of our life, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be part of the podcast. So I can hear it like double. So you have to let me know if they need a little, because
it just gives me joy.
good. Okay. Okay. They are experiencing joy. That's for sure. They're playing with each
All
other, having a
right.
grand old time.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But,
Um,
communicating when we're sick
yeah.
is a part of being a female in our culture is we're not allowed to have bad days
Yeah.
or use our words, and so we do more tendency of the passive aggressive, like I'm just going to go around and look, and everybody's got to guess what's going on. And but basically, we get the excuse to we're going to change the world by role modeling for our teens, and just say, you know what, I've got a fever, my nose is running, I'm coughing. Today I have the flu, so let's do homeschooling in a way that adapts and shows
Yes.
resilience for our teens.
Yeah. Yep.
So to use
And
the words, I'm sick, and we're going to adapt.
We're going to adapt. It's a great word.
yeah, right.
Mm-mm.
Right. And when we're doing that, adapting, let them be a part of the process, especially by the time they're teenagers, they're having sick days too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we do with them is also coaching them on how to communicate with us when they're feeling sick. And so, like we always talk about approaching it as a team, set your goals with your teens, not for them, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So say to them, I'm feeling really cruddy, and we all know if I push through today, I'm going to be sicker longer
Mhm.
and I'm going to be more sick. So, in everyone's best interest, I'm going to take care of myself today. What do you think is the best way for us to readjust our day? Or what can you pick up for me? That is
Uh-huh.
something we do not typically ask, or many of us don't ask our kids to pick up for us when we're sick because we feel like, oh, we should be able to just.
Yeah.
So invite them into the process.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And a lot of times there are pieces of the actual homeschooling academics stuff and clubs that we're a part of and all of that. There are things that we're not necessarily thinking about, especially if we're not feeling well.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember a specific time when I was feeling lousy and I had a couple of teenagers still homeschooling. And I said, I don't even know, figure out something to do that you think maybe is school today, And I was reminded that there was like we had just kind of missed it as far as a project that we had said we were going to do sometime this semester kind of thing. That was very much an independent study thing.
Mm.
And one of the kids remembered it and said, I could just work on that all day today because that's supposed to be independent study anyway. And I was like, yes, but I hadn't thought of it and one of them did. So yeah, definitely approaching it as a team is good.
You brought them in, yeah, and made it a family discussion, and they solved the problem themselves.
Yes, and it
Yeah.
was a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna bring up something that maybe is a little bit risky. I don't think we've ever talked about this on the Homeschool High School podcast
Oh
before,
my.
Ooh.
but I'm gonna take the risk because I'm tired of this not ever being talked about. So, if you are homeschooling high schoolers, unless you had your kids very, very young, and if you are the mom who is homeschooling, you may be experiencing girl stuff that makes life really hard because perimenopause is brutal for a lot of women. Not for everybody, but it was for me. I'm just calling it what it was.
Putting
It
it
was
out there.
years of serious, serious struggle.
Yes.
And I had a lot of boys. I had one daughter, but I had three sons.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the conscious decision that I was going to prepare my boys to be good husbands and partners and even siblings, with their sister someday down the road. And I was just going to say, okay, look, we've done all this stuff in health. You know that my system works differently than a guy's. and I've got this stuff going on and I feel terrible. And it often is pretty predictable terrible, 2 days every month or so, I'm going to feel really bad and I'm going to get a migraine and I'm going to like really be struggling. And I do not want to have to beg you to get on board and remember that I'm not well. This is in its own way a chronic illness. Nowhere near as bad as what some folks are dealing with. If you've got somebody with MS or whatever who's homeschooling, I get it. I'm not comparing my PMS to your MS, but however you want to look at it, it is a chronic illness. It's going to be a part of the impact on your family and on your homeschool. And you're actually doing your sons in particular a huge service if you prepare them for this for down the road, especially if they're ever going to be husbands and fathers. So yeah, don't be afraid to talk about that stuff.
Talking is a good thing.
Good job, Sabrina. Yeah, bravo. Bravo. Yeah. I'm going to say another risky thing that we do sometimes talk about on the Seven Sisters podcast here. That is asking for help.
Ooh.
Not just from your teens, but we always talk about homeschooling in community.
Yes.
We have done that. And Sabrina, you touched on sometimes sick is the flu or, PMSy kinds of things or, perimenopause, the other kind of PMSy. And that can be really messy, but it's also sometimes it is that chronic illness. Sometimes it is MS or, big, bad, ugly things, as I, tend to call them. And so sometimes you need a little bit of help, but sometimes you need long-term help. And that's what we're all about. That's what community is. That's what your co-op is. That's what the body of Christ is. And if we don't ask for help, people can't know. And I'm super guilty here. And I'm thankful that the way I learned was not through like a chronic illness per se. But God gave me twins when we didn't expect to be getting twins. And all of a sudden, oh, there's another one. And I learned real quick to accept and ask for help. And so if you're in a short-term or a long-term situation, one of the best tips anyone ever gave me was, we're shy. Maybe we can say, if someone says, oh, can I bring you a meal? You might say, yeah, but your bathroom might be disgusting and you might really need someone to clean your bathroom, but you're not going to ask your friends to come clean your bathroom usually. But make a list, stick it on your phone, make a paper list, stick it on your fridge, whatever. And when someone asks, oh, can I help? You can show them the list and you can say, well, here's my to-do list. If anything grabs you, sure. And you never know. You might find some friends that might be willing to clean your bathroom or clean your kitchen or take out your garbage, whatever the thing is that's hard, that you need help with. Yeah, maybe your whole family has the flu. If mom's the only one who's sick, usually other people in the family can pick up, but sometimes it hits everybody.
Passing stuff around. Yep.
Yep.
That's such a good idea, Kim. And I love that because it also it leans into the fact that we don't know each other as well as we think we do, even when we've known each other for a long time. And there are people who love to deep clean bathrooms. It's like super rewarding for them. I don't get it at all. Not me.
It's not me. Yeah.
But like there are specific things that you feel like, oh, I would never want to ask somebody to do this because it's something you hate and dread doing.
Yeah.
But there are other people who are wired very differently than you who might be like, no, actually, I really love this. So yeah. Don't assume that that this is too horrible a task. It might not be at all for somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, and related to that is maybe it's something as little as, can you give my kids a ride to co-op?
Oh, exactly.
Practice or baseball. And I know as a working mom, and then if you got working and sick on top of that, there would be things where I was asking for rides for my kids before I had drivers in the house. And that's part of the homeschool community. We all look out for each other. But that is also a tip for moms just to kind of keep in mind going forward in life. Is the more we're involved in the community in whatever way works for us, even if it's as simple as a, a co-op cleanup day or, a project day or something. Anytime you show up, you are getting the joy of making connections. And, that's my best friends are all of you guys. We met in homeschooling co-ops and homeschool activities. But also it's putting goodwill in the bank.
Yeah.
And it will come around at some point.
Absolutely.
And I tell you, my bank account had to have gotten really thin a lot of times where I had to ask for rides, but I also had ways to invest in it by being in the community.
Absolutely.
And the joy, the interest was all my friendships that I wouldn't have had.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe we'll do a quick roundup here. Big things from life experience as homeschool moms is admit that this is a part of life. You are not a better homeschool parent if you deny your own limitations as a human. You don't actually get extra points for that. And your children will not succeed more by having what appears to be a superhuman parent. So embrace your humanity, embrace the limitation, communicate clearly with your own family. Don't be afraid of awkward stuff in communicating with your family. And then remember the power of community. And remember that not everybody in your community is exactly like you. And so getting help that to you might seem like a big deal might not even be a big deal to the person who's offering it. Make yourself vulnerable. That's a lot of it. I think when we get sick, it reminds us how human we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
And especially for those of us who are not chronically ill and who typically have a lot of energy and do a lot of things. And then when we get laid low with something, it's this reminder of the fact that we're limited. And that is actually a blessing, you guys.
Right.
Being limited is a gift from God.
Yep.
If we were limitless, we would just run all over each other all the time. But by being limited, we reach out to the God who does not have the limitations and who can be our strength and weakness, but we also connect more deeply with each other. And it is a good thing to admit what's going on and then to adapt your life and your homeschool around it.
Yes.
So, anything else?
I agree 100%. Back to the math.
Very good.
Yay for Heidi and yay for Kim.
Hooray, hooray, hooray. Yes. And hooray for community and for homeschooling and for the chance to connect with you from this little spot on the Homeschool High School podcast. And we're glad that you were here today. And we hope that you will tune in for future episodes and that you will also encourage the people in your community who might just need some big sisters to share some life experience from a whole lot of years of homeschooling a whole lot of kids. It's a wonderful thing, and it's even better when we do it together. So thanks for being here, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.